Good morning, Father.
This season can really be called, to maybe Father Jamie's chagrin, not the season of Christmas, but I would propose the season of scandal. The season of scandal. You see, the last few Sundays we've been shown scandal. We started with a sort of epiphany that Mary had, that she was going to bear God's Son. She was called to do this when she was only engaged. She was a scandal. Then we're presented with this news of where the child is going to be born in Luke's gospel last week via a scandalous presentation to not the wealthy elite, but to shepherds. God chose to reveal this to the non-elite. Now, on this third Sunday, this Sunday where we are presented with Matthew's account, we get the tip of the scandalous iceberg. You see, there are many interpretations for frankincense and myrrh being brought on this specific occasion. And one such possible interpretation is that they signify death. Most of the time in which a common person would run into frankincense and myrrh would be at a funeral to cover the stench of the body. So we started, let's look at it again, with the scandal of a child to be born, then of that presentation to shepherds, and of the birth of that child to lowly, to non-elite, to the oppressed. And now we've come to this king, this Son of God, is now being prophesied to die. These three wise men, or there's no real specific number, but as tradition has it, these three wise men give us a prophecy, essentially, that Jesus will die. And so, presented with these scandals, how do we have an epiphany? You see, epiphany means to reveal. It comes from the epiphanies, or the part of an ancient religious ritual in which the picture or the image of whatever deity you were worshiping would be revealed. That would be the epiphany, or the epiphany's moment. How do we apply these scandalous epiphanies, these scandalous revelations in our life? Well, some semblance of that is given to us in the Gospel of Matthew. If we look to the final verse in today's reading, we see, and having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed for their country by another way. Their interpretation, their epiphany of what was to happen, of what God had revealed to them, was to care for this Son of God that had been revealed to them. Well, that's pretty grand, right? None of us would raise our hand if asked, would you reveal where Jesus was to the king? Right? We would say no. But in more nuanced and real day-to-day interpretation, how do we follow a scandalous epiphany? Well, it starts by choosing those that are not chosen. The Gospel of Mark tells us of when Jesus calls us to lead an example where the first are chosen last and the last are chosen first. Each of these scandals that we have been revealed in this season are ones that show a God who does not choose the elite. And so if I'm walking around on the street and I see someone who needs to be fed, who needs a hamburger, a coordinated support system, what am I to do? Well, I'm to do the scandalous thing, right? That's what this season says. You see, it's often, if I'm in a big group especially, the scandalous thing to even acknowledge that the homeless person to my right is there. It's almost as if we walk with blinders on, right? We've often grown accustomed, I've seen it, I've done it, to ignoring that which is uncomfortable, to ignoring that which would cause scandal, namely to acknowledge, to even go over and help that person. And so, as we have an epiphany guided by scandal, let's use this season to see what's there. To not look away, to not put on our blinders, because if the Magi had put on their blinders, if the 3 wise men had put on their blinders, we would not even have this story to begin with, right? So, let's be guided by their example. Let's see what God calls us to see. Let's look at the Epiphany before us.